Welcome and thank you for standing by. Currently, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'd like to turn the call over to your host for today, Ryan Rishardi.
Thanks, Lisa. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's presentation titled Unlocking American Community Survey Data, Tools for New and Experienced Users. My name is Ryan Rishardi, and I work for the American Community Survey Office at the U.S. Census Bureau. I am joined today by Mac Treese, a data dissemination specialist at the Census Bureau. We are excited to share with you all the different ways you can access ACS data. Before we begin, if you have questions, you're welcome to submit them using the Slido feature here in WebEx, and our colleagues will try to answer them during the webinar. The PDF version of the slides is available at the link shown on the slide. Also, today's webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be available online after the webinar. Before we talk about the ACS, let's start with a quick overview of the U.S. Census Bureau as a whole. The Census Bureau is the largest federal government statistical agency. Our mission is to serve as the nation's leading provider of quality data about its people and economy. We strive to provide the most up-to-date, useful, quality data and products. Many people are familiar with the once every 10-year census, also known as the decennial census, but we also conduct more than 130 censuses and surveys of households and businesses across the nation each year. This includes the American Community Survey and more than 30 other household surveys. There are also over 60 economic programs, with the economic census being the largest and most comprehensive. There is also information on our nation's public sector provided by the Census of Governments. With that out of the way, let's dive into today's agenda. I will begin by going over some basic information about the American Community Survey. Then my co-presenter Mac and I will describe 6 of the most common ACS data access tools and conduct a live demonstration of each one. These tools will range from easy-to-use tools that are great for beginners to more advanced data tools that are best for experienced data users and programmers. So, whatever your experience level is, there is something here for you. And finally, we will close out by providing you with some resources for learning more and for connecting with us. Now, let's get into the basics of the ACS. The American Community Survey, or ACS, is the premier source of detailed information about the nation's people and housing. The survey samples approximately 3.5 million addresses each year and 150,000 group quarters residents. These data are collected continuously throughout the year to produce annual social, economic, housing, and demographic estimates for communities throughout the 50 states, DC, and Puerto Rico. The estimates cover more than 40 topics. The ACS collects this detailed information each year that was previously collected by the decennial census each decade. Information from the ACS generates data that help inform how trillions of dollars in federal funds are distributed each year, which support more than 300 known federal uses and countless non-federal uses. ACS data are generally released the year immediately following the year in which they are collected. The ACS creates period estimates, which means they represent the characteristics of the population and housing over a specific data collection period. The ACS releases estimates for 1-year and 5-year periods. After years of extensive testing, the ACS was fully implemented in 2005, so we now have 20 years of ACS data. The first ACS 1-year estimates were collected in 2005 and released in 2006. The first 5-year ACS estimates were collected between 2005 and 2009 and released in 2010. Now that we've explored what the ACS is, we can now jump into why you're all here today, and that is to discover all the ACS data access tools. Depending on what your needs are, we likely have the perfect data access tool for you. The tools shown here are some of the most popular ones. Mac and I are going to explain key highlights of some of these tools and then do a live demonstration of some of these tools. You can find these tools, resources on how to use them, and more all on the census.gov website. Let's start with Quick Facts. Quick Facts is a simple way to access facts about people, business, and geography. It is probably the easiest data tool to use, so it is great for beginners and for people who are looking for some common high-level statistics. Some key things to know about Quick Facts are Quick Facts provides statistics for all states, counties, cities, and towns with a population of 5,000 or more. It provides common statistics for topics like population total, age, sex, housing, businesses, and several other topics. It incorporates data from multiple Census Bureau datasets like ACS, the decennial census, and the economic census. And you can add up to 5 geographies at a time, allowing you to compare multiple geographies. Some common challenges made when using Quick Facts include trying to find data for geographies with fewer than 5,000 people. Another challenge is that Quick Facts contains only a subset of topics and does not contain detailed or cross-tabulated ACS estimates. Furthermore, Quick Facts only contains the most recent estimates, so if you want estimates for prior years, you will not find them on Quick Facts. Also, estimates do not contain margins of error, and comparisons are presented without determining statistical significance. Here are some resources we have to help you learn more about Quick Facts. First, we have an FAQ for Quick Facts located on the Quick Facts webpage. We also have a short video called a data gem that explains how you can use the tool to retrieve data for certain geographies. And you can direct any questions or comments regarding the Quick Facts tool to the acso.users.support@census.gov email address. And now I will jump into a live demonstration of Quick Facts. So this is Quick Facts. For this demonstration, let's take a look at the 4 largest cities in the US and compare some statistics among them. The 4 largest cities in the US are New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Houston. Once you're on the Quick Facts page, notice how it defaults to the US. You can see statistics here, like population estimates at the top, and many more as you scroll down. Now I want to add my geographies, so I will enter them here. First up is New York, so I will enter that. Then Los Angeles, then Chicago, and finally Houston. Now that I've entered my 4 cities, let's take a closer look at them. Scrolling down, I can see various statistics and that there are separate columns for each city. So for example, I can look at the number of veterans for each city. I can find that Houston has 62,437 veterans living in the city, and that there are a little over 16 million veterans in the entire United States. I can also scroll down and see median household income for the 4 cities and for the entire United States. I can notice that Los Angeles has the highest median household income of the 4 cities. If I wanted to, I could remove a geography. I'll remove the column for the entire US and keep just my 4 cities. I want to show you one more feature of Quick Facts. I will scroll back up to the top. If this table is a lot to look at, you could select your fact from this drop-down menu. I will select median household income. And you can see it put those statistics in the first row here and bolded it. So this is quick facts. Pretty easy, right? I will jump back into my presentation now. Next is data.census.gov. Data.census.gov is the Census Bureau's main data dissemination platform and is the primary way to access data from the American Community Survey. When in doubt, start here because it is in many ways a one-stop shop for most Census Bureau data. Data.census.gov allows users to filter searches through topics or geographies, download data files, and create customized maps and charts. There are a variety of how-to materials, video tutorials, webinars, and FAQs to help you use data.census.gov. To learn more, please visit the links shown at the bottom of the slide. I will also be giving a brief demonstration in a moment using this tool. Some key things to know about data.census.gov. You can filter by geography, surveys, topics, and years. You can download data files and create custom maps and charts. Data.census.gov only includes ACS data from 2010 to the present. It does not have ACS data from 2005 through 2009. Some common challenges made in the data.census.gov platform include comparing 1-year and 5-year ACS estimates. The ACS one-year estimates are datasets covering 12 months, and the ACS 5-year estimates are datasets covering 60 months, and the Census Bureau advises against comparing the two. Another common challenge is ignoring margins of error or MOE. It is important to remember that ACS data are estimates, and the true value is within a range of values. A third challenge is what may appear as missing 1-year geographies. That is, if you select a large number of geographies for the ACS 1-year estimates, then only geographies with populations of 65,000 or more will appear in your results list. It may appear that some geographies are missing, but they are not. They are rather under the ACS 5-year estimates, so you will need to select the ACS 5-year estimates to see those data. Here are some resources to learn more about data.census.gov. There are a lot of recorded webinars and data gems you can watch at your own convenience to learn more about the tool. There is also an in-depth FAQ that explores all kinds of questions you may have about using the tool. And you can sign up for monthly newsletters specifically for data.census.gov. This newsletter will highlight updates to the website. Lastly, if you have any questions about using data.census.gov, there is a support team specifically for the website. Feel free to send them an email at census.data@census.gov. Now I will go to data.census.gov and conduct a live demonstration of how to use the site. Here is the website data.census.gov. Now let's say I want to find data on adults who have a bachelor's degree or higher for all counties within Colorado. In this search box here, I can enter a geography, a topic, or a table ID, and it will return some results. But you can also click this Explore Filters button here and do your search that way. I'm going to do that now. This brings us to the advanced view. Here, you can use the filters on the left nav to narrow down your search. And again, I want to find data on educational attainment for all counties in Colorado. So first, let's select our geography. We want county, so I will select that. Then it will prompt you to select a state, so I'll select Colorado. Then you could individually check off just the counties you're interested in, or you could select the first checkbox for all counties in Colorado, and that's what I'll do. Okay, now that I've selected that, I can verify that the filter was applied by looking in this filters area up here. I see the filter for all counties within Colorado is applied, so I know I'm good to go. Next, there is an option here for a topics filter. So I will select education, then the educational attainment checkbox. And then I will click the blue search button in the bottom right. Now wait a second for it to load. You can see the list of tables my filters returned. I will select the first option, Table S1501, Educational Attainment. And when I click on it, the table view will open. I can expand the table by clicking the double left pointing arrows. One small quirk of the current iteration of data.census.gov is that it is defaulting to the 2023 ACS 5-year estimates when it should default to the most recent estimates, the 2024 estimates. So I will update that right now. Okay, with that fixed, now you can see that my geographies are on the table with Adams County, Colorado being first. To find bachelor's degree or higher, I am going to scroll down to population 25 years and over, and then to bachelor's degree or higher. And you can see on this row here that 101,545 people, or 29% of people aged 25 years and over, and Adams County has a bachelor's degree or higher. I can also scroll to the right to see a breakdown by sex. And if you keep scrolling, you can see the other counties as well. Now, this is helpful, but maybe you're more of a visual person and would like to see a map view of these data. There is an option for a map view within data.census.gov. To get there, simply click the map icon here. This brings us to the map view of the table. You can see the variables selected here in the top left. If I click on it, I can change the variable. Notice the option for number and percent estimates here. I'll leave percent checked off. Then I will select the option for population 25 years and over with bachelor's degree or higher. Now my map view will adjust to my selection. And here we are. This map view now shows the percent of the population 25 years and over with a bachelor's degree or higher. By looking at the legend in the bottom left, you can notice that darker shades of blue indicate a higher percentage of the 25 and over population with at least a bachelor's degree. By contrast, the lighter shades of blue and almost white counties indicate lower percentage of the population with a bachelor's degree or higher. If blue doesn't suit you, you can change the color by clicking the colors icon at the top here. I will change it to green. You can also change the year by clicking the year icon. You can even add other geography boundaries on top by clicking the boundaries button. So that is data.census.gov. I hope you found this helpful. Now I will jump back into the PowerPoint presentation. And the last tool I'm going to share with you today is On the Map for Emergency Management. On the Map for Emergency Management is a public data tool that provides an intuitive web-based interface for viewing the potential effects of disasters on the U.S. workforce and population. Some key things to know about On the Map for Emergency Management are there is real-time tracking of natural disasters and other weather events, including hurricanes, floods, and winter storms data from the National Weather Service and National Hurricane Center, disaster areas data from Federal Emergency Management Agency or FEMA, and wildfires data from Department of Interior and Department of Agriculture. The data from these other federal departments and agencies are combined with demographic and economic data from the American Community Survey and other Census Bureau programs and surveys. You can find data both for the population that lives in the affected area and the workforce employed in the area. Economic and demographic census data are updated with each new data release. This allows you to understand the affected populations. There is also the option to search for specific events. For example, if you already know the FEMA disaster declaration number, you can directly search that in the tool. Another cool feature of On the Map for emergency management is that it generates reports and data visualizations for you. These products are exportable as well. You can even generate custom URLs that capture the specific parameters you set using the share feature on the tool. And when you share that URL, the other person will be taken directly to your custom on the map creation. Some common challenges data users encounter when using on the map for emergency management include not realizing data are only available for the disaster or emergency event if it is a federally recognized event. FEMA must issue the disaster declaration in order for the event to appear in the tool. Another mistake is easy to miss if you don't pay close attention. The worker data comes from the unemployment insurance wage data and the quarterly census of employment and wages, or QCEW. Notably, these data sets exclude the following workers: uniformed military, self-employed workers, and informally employed workers. So it is important to keep in mind that data from these categories of workers will not be included in the tool. There is an abundance of resources available to you about On the Map for emergency management. This slide showcases some of the most helpful resources. First, there is a help and documentation section found directly on the tool's webpage. This help and documentation section includes a user guide, a getting started PDF that provides step-by-step walkthrough of using the tool, and more. There are also several recorded webinars you can watch. The webinar linked here is for the most recent webinar a Census Bureau employee did for the tool. Another great resource to check is the Census Bureau's Emergency Management Hub. This is the third link on the slide. This Emergency Management Hub has links to the latest events, additional data access tools, and articles related to disaster preparedness. You can also view emergencies by type, such as wildfire emergencies, hurricanes, and tornadoes. Lastly, you can send any questions you may have about On the Map for emergency management to the support team email address shown here. A team will be able to assist you with your questions related to the tool. And now I will jump into a live demonstration of On the Map for emergency management. This is the main page for On the Map for emergency management. You can immediately notice the live weather events across the US. Notice the legend here that indicates the different types of events, and this is updated continuously. All right, let's find out more information about the population affected by Hurricane Helene, the Category 4 hurricane that hit the southeastern US in September 2024. To start, you can search weather or disaster events in the search box here. Remember, it has to be a federally recognized weather event. Hurricane Helene is, so we're good to go. I'll start typing it in. All right. And once I type it in, you can see the map shows the affected area. On the left here, you can see many data points. Let's say I am interested in vehicles available for the affected area because having a vehicle is an important part of emergency management. Planners may want to know how many people have a vehicle that they could possibly evacuate in, and how many do not have a vehicle and may need transportation provided to them in order to evacuate. You can see the breakdown by number of vehicles available. And it looks like 852,863 people in Hurricane Helene's path did not have a vehicle available to them. I can also click on this data point to produce a bar graph of the same data. I can see that this first bar graph in yellow is for no vehicles available. The blue bar is for one vehicle available, and so on. I can also click the Detail By drop-down menu here and change it to geography. Then I can change the variable. Let's say I am interested in the poverty status of the population affected by Hurricane Helene. So I will change it to ACS, and then poverty status in the past 12 months, income in the past 12 months below poverty level. And I will select that as my variable. And next, I can also edit the geography by clicking the Select Areas button here. And I can have the option to select states, counties, or places. I'm going to select counties and then select all, and select geographies. And so this shows me the selected, the poverty status for the affected population in each state and also by county. Sometimes you have to click on a county to get the county map to appear. A couple other useful features on this tool. You can edit the base map in this little box on the right here. It is currently set to terrain, but I can change it to, I may need to drop this down. I can change it to satellite, road, or hybrid. I will change it to hybrid. Additionally, I can change the time of the event at the top here. It is currently set to Friday, September 27th, 2024, but let's change that to the day before. Now the map has adjusted to the impact area as of Thursday, September 26th, and I can further edit the time to any of the options listed here. I can export this as a KML or CSV file, and I can share this, which will generate a unique URL that you or someone else could come back to at any time. This custom URL will take you right back to this specific setup that we've created. Lastly, you can find resources to learn more about how to use the tool by clicking this help and documentation link at the top right here. And that is on the map for emergency management. I hope you found this useful. I will jump back into the presentation now. And now I will turn the presentation over to my co-presenter, Mac. Mac, it is all yours.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Now I'll be taking you through 3 other data tools that will quickly help you access ACS data in concise formats. So we'll begin with narrative profiles. Narrative profiles offer an easy-to-read overview that summarizes key characteristics of a community using clear narrative text. It covers 18 different topics, and each profile includes narrative explanations, bar charts, and tables that highlight important social, economic, housing, and demographic indicators. Some key things to know about this tool is that it provides access to ACS data dating back to 2015. This gives you the ability to explore nearly a decade of community trends using consistent 5-year estimates. It also provides you with an address lookup tool, which makes it easy to find nested geographies. So you can enter any address to quickly identify the census tract and other geographic areas it belongs to. Very helpful for local analysis or when you don't know a tract number. Charts and tables link also directly to data.census.gov. So with just one click, you should be able to access the underlying data tables, view margins of error, and download the data for deeper analysis. Some common challenges while using this tool. First is that narrative profiles are short analytic reports. They highlight select topics and do not include detailed tables, margins of error, and subgroup breakdowns available on data.census.gov. Second, some users mistakenly expect single-year estimates, overlooking that the data are exclusively from the ACS 5-year estimates. So just keep in mind, this tool will always use or give you or provide you with the ACS 5-year data. Third, narrative profiles provide source or table links to data.census.gov. Many users also rely solely on the narrative and never clicking through the to view the MOEs or download the tables and examine additional variables across tabs. And you'll see this once I go into the actual tool. Lastly, narrative profiles is designed to quickly offer insights and is not a customizable analysis tool. In order for you to generate custom age ranges or multiple geography comparison or other additional variables. Some key resources to help you explore narrative profiles in more depth we have within our Census Academy. You'll find a short 5-minute video on that walks you through how to use the tools step by step. We also have a recorded webinar, which includes guidance on how to access and use narrative profiles, along with other beginner-friendly tools. Additionally, you can use the link provided on the slide to access the most recent and most notable narrative profile releases. And finally, you may also send your questions or queries to acso.users.support@census.gov. Now, let me quickly show you how to use narrative profiles. So this is narrative profiles landing page. As you can see, it allows you to navigate all the way back to 2015 vintage, if that is your preference, to look back into the data sets. But to begin generating the profile, you can use any of these radio buttons right here to choose the geography. For today, we will be exploring, or we will be getting the narrative profile for New York City in New York State. So for that, we'll be using the place button. Place is actually a census geography referring to cities or unincorporated areas. Once you do that, you should be able to select your state and then the city, and then just click on Get Narrative Profile icon. So that will open up to a new tab, and it will pull from the latest ACS 5-year estimates, as you can see on this report. So the report will show the data sets in text and chart format, covering the 18 different topics. So here we start with households and family. With this icon right here, you could either expand or collapse the different topics for you to explore. This one includes nativity and foreign-born, language spoken at home. You have geographic mobility, education. And one other thing to note about narrative profile is that aside from the text and the chart form, you should be able to view the data in table format. So just by clicking on View Data Table Format, here we'll see the educational attainment for New York City. Seems that the majority have bachelor's degree, followed by high school diploma. What's great about narrative profiles, you can always change the geography by clicking into Change Geography right here. But what I find most helpful with narrative profile is really the address lookup feature. If you already have an address in mind and want to find the narrative profile for that particular address, you can just type it into the box right here and click on lookup address. Once you do that, what it will do is pull up all related data sets corresponding to that particular address. So if you are not familiar with what is the census tract number for that address, it will give it to you. So here it says census tract 84 is where you will find this address. It's located at the zip code tabulation area of 108, New York City, and so on and so forth. But each of this will open up to another tab, which then you can view the narrative profile, similar to what you saw earlier. So that's narrative profile in a nutshell. Next, what I'd like to take you through is My Community Explorer. This is one of my favorite tools. My Community Explorer actually works like an interactive map. You can click or zoom in into any area, like a state, county, or census tract, to quickly see important statistics and understand the potential impact of disasters to people, businesses, and the economy. This tool may share some similarity to On the Map for emergency management, but what makes My Community Explorer unique is it includes community resilience estimates, or CRE, which are built using ACS data. Now, CRE estimates help show which areas or groups of people may have more challenges during disasters, so you can spot communities that may need more support. Basically, the tool brings together Census Bureau data sets, including the ACS 5-year estimates, along with business data and real-time updates for natural disasters and weather events. Some key things to know when using this tool is that My Community Explorer shows information in layers. So you can turn things on and off to see exactly what you mean. Or you can focus on a specific ACS topic. For example, population of 65 years and over. You can create a heat map with that variable and overlay real-time emergency preparedness layer. Also, each county has its own profile with key statistics, most coming from the ACS 5-year estimates, making it really easy to compare places side by side. If you prefer a simple list, there is also the table view, so you can scan the data much more quickly. And lastly, some of the chart links straight to data.census.gov, so you can jump right to the full data set if you want more detail. Some of the common challenges when using this tool, many people forget to use the zoom in on map feature, which means they only see details at the county level. The tool is designed to reveal much more when you zoom in into the counties. It will reveal census tracts and rich colors or labels corresponding to the chosen layers, as you can see right here. Also, users often don't take advantage of the available data layers. Don't skip using these layers, as community resilience estimates or the demographic indicators add essential context. Turning them on helps you understand not just where something is happening, but why it may be happening and which populations are most affected. Some users also might misread the map colors or labels, especially when multiple layers are active. So your legend or the legend is your guide here. So just take a moment to review it to help ensure you're interpreting the data correctly and not mixing it up with other colors or symbols. Also, and lastly, sometimes the social, economic, and demographic data in My Community Explorer are not always from the latest ACS release due to the time it takes to update the tool. So you should always check the source. If the My Community Explorer doesn't have latest ACS data, you may want to get into data.census.gov as a tool. However, right now, the My Community Explorer actually has been updated with the latest 2024 ACS 5-year release. So you should have the most recent data from the ACS. Now, I'd like to highlight a few helpful resources as you continue to explore this tool. We do offer several short step-by-step data gems, including one specifically on how to access My Community Explorer for Puerto Rico, also available in Spanish. We also recently released a more in-depth webinar on My Community Explorer, or MCE for short, which takes a closer look at community resilience estimates and how to use them more effectively. So if you do have questions or additional queries about MCE, feel free to reach out to ewd.outreach@census.gov. They do have a dedicated staff to respond to you with your queries. All right, so now we'll go into My Community Explorer. So by default, it will take you to an option of a tour, or you can skip this function and it will then quickly bring you to the landing page. Just try to do that again and see. So again, you could use the tour or skip function, and it should default to the national level. So I always think of the dashboard for My Community Explorer as like different panels. We have about kind of like 3 panels, and on the left hand here is where you will find most of the legends for the icons. And then the middle part, or the middle panel, will provide you with the different layers as well as the interactive map. And the right-hand panel will give you more community statistics. And then here at the bottom of your screen is where you'll find the different tabs where you can access more of the different profiles of the geography that you've already chosen. For this exercise, we'll be exploring the recent incidents within Los Angeles County in Southern California. So to start, you could either use the zoom in function by using your mouse, or there is a plus or minus icon right here to zoom in into the area or geography or the map. Or you could also use the drop-down menu by selecting your state and then selecting your county, either through the typing it in or just scrolling down and choosing the county of your preference. So once you do that, wait for the map and the context to populate. So as you can see right here, what it's showing us right now is that it's providing us with some of the icons of the current fire incidents that are within the county of Los Angeles. Again, on the left-hand side is where you'll find some of the legends to correspond to the icons. So for instance, right here, if you look into the bubble with the red flame, yellow bubble with the red flame, this actually corresponds to those that are new incidents or those that have just happened within the past 24 hours. So to find out more details or bring up more details for each of this incident, you just click on the actual icon or the bubble map or the bubble within the map. And that should then generate for you exactly what would be the incident for that particular icon. So here you will see it will describe for you the areas burned together when it was discovered. So this is new, as I mentioned, within the last 24 hours. But what you should always take into consideration is that to get more details, because right now it's not really showing us details on here on the map, is to use the zoom in function, as I mentioned. And once you do that, it would bring more details, giving you insight into the actual areas as well as the census tract. So we're looking at earlier within the area of Pomona. So if you click on any of these icons again, it should bring up almost the similar information with the incident name, but just wanted to show you that this report, or most of the reports when you pull it up, has more than just one page. Just click on the arrow to the right button, and here it will give you information for that particular tract where that incident is located. So it is within tract 4090. It gives you the total population, as well as the estimates on the community resilience, whether they have a 3+ component of social vulnerability, 1 to 2, or even 0 component. Now, the characteristics related to CRE are also provided here. As you can see, it does compare it against the national estimate. So here you will see population whose income is below 125% of poverty level. You also find here another characteristics that's higher than the national estimates, or 3 more. Here you will see that occupied housing units with more than 1.5 occupants more per room, which kind of gives us an idea that there might be overcrowding in some units. And then we have here populations of 5 years and over that speaks a language other than English, or speaks English less than very well as those population 25 years and over without a high school diploma. So this really makes it easy to identify population groups that may be more vulnerable to those incidents related or located within this census tract number. Additionally, you could again move into the next page where it shows you more details taken from the ACS data sets. And if you continue going into the next report, it then pulls up data sets at the county level. So a really great tool if you want to explore that particular area. Now, I did mention that you don't forget to utilize the layers. And by clicking on the layers, this is where you will find that you can access or view any of the, or highlight any of those emergency preparedness levels if you're interested in viewing that. But if you wanted to isolate a characteristic, for example, right here, we do have 65 plus and over population. You might want to do a map or a heat map of that within this particular area. So it does allow you to do that. And if you scroll into the legend again, right here on the left-hand panel, it would give you an idea of where, what the color combinations are. It just tells us that the darker shaded areas is where you will find most of the 65 years and over that might be affected, and the concentration of where there are. Now, I mentioned about the profiles. Again, if you click on the tabs at the bottom, it will give you an idea or a profile at the county level, and give you characteristics of the economic characteristics. We do have also social characteristics here, as well as demographic. And also it gives you an idea of the business profiles, those total establishments that might be potentially affected, whether they be employer establishments or non-employer establishments. The other thing that's great about the profiles, so for instance, we go back to the economic profile here. What's great about this is that you are also able to jump right into the actual table. If you were interested in accessing it, for instance, here it does show us the total household income, and it is coming from DPO3 of ACS table, and you should be able to view this directly. If you click on this link, it will open up to another tab, and it will directly link you to data.census.gov, where you should be able to view more of the MOEs as well as the actual, or download the table itself. So the other things I wanted to share with you about this tool is that it does provide you with the option of viewing the data through a table format. It does, if this is your preference, so that you can quickly see the data sets in a table format. It does include both counties and tracts. And you should also be able to share this. There is a share button, whether you want to just share the link or share it through social media. If you wanted to access the Puerto Rico information, this is where you will find that link. And lastly, if you are interested in finding more about where the data sources or the live feeds are coming from, that is also available for you. All right, so that is My Community Explorer. So now let us move on to the last tool that I wanted to share with you, which is called My Tribal Area. So My Tribal Area uses ACS 5-year estimates to show detailed characteristics of American Indian and Alaska Native, or AIAN, communities. My Tribal Area also includes map views and descriptive legends for hundreds of tribal areas nationwide. Some key things to note when using this tool: it does provide you with easy access to key statistics about people, jobs, economy, and education. And those are tabs that I'll show you during the actual demo. You could also easily search for tribal areas by just typing in the name or choosing a state or tribal area. And you should be able to view margins of errors to see how precise the numbers are. It's also simple to download the data as a CSV file, so you can save it or share it with others. And lastly, the tool also includes a glossary that explains different AIAN geographic terms, which helps users understand the areas they're looking at. Some of the common challenges when using this tool: first is that overlooking that AIAN populations living outside of the tribal areas. Many American Indian and Alaska Native people live outside tribal areas, so this tool doesn't capture the full AIAN population. It's important to remember you're only seeing part of the picture here. Also, searching for full tables or custom queries. This tool is meant for quick, high-level statistics and not full data tables. So if you need detailed tables or custom filters, you may want to use data.census.gov instead. Now, expecting interactive or dynamic maps. The maps in this tool are simple and mostly static, so don't expect anything like My Community Explorer. Also, ignoring cautions when comparing ACS 5-year estimates to other estimates. Again, ACS 5-year data covers a longer time period, so it doesn't always line up with single-year estimates. So make sure you're comparing similar data products to avoid misleading results. Now, finding out more about My Tribal Area is really easy. Some of the resources are listed here. We do have, again, a data gem, which walks you through how quickly to access and use My Tribal Area tool. I mentioned about the glossary, the built-in glossary, and I'll show that to you in case you need help understanding the American Indian and Alaska Native geographic terms included in the tool. And then we do have the ACS resources for AIAN. For a deeper dive, visit the ACS resources page. It includes guidance on using AIA and data, which is very helpful flyers as well as additional materials. And then lastly, for any queries, do please send them to us at acso.users.support@census.gov. All right, so now let's go ahead and quickly dive into the tool. All right, so this is the landing page for my travel area. To begin, you can always type in, as I mentioned, the tribal name or use select state and tribal area. For this example, we will be exploring the Navajo Nation, Nation Reservation and Off-Reservation Trust Land. Once you have that into the inquiry bar, it will then pull up the map. Again, this is not an interactive map, but it does show you the geography. And here on this panel right here is where you will find the different tabs for population. It's currently showing us the breakdown of population by age groups together with the demographic, as well as the ancestry. If you click on the other tabs here, you'll find information on employment status. If you're looking for occupations as well as the industry sector, this is where you will find it. If you're interested in finding more about housing statistics, especially those that are either owner or renter occupied, this is where you will also find that information. Another thing to note is if you're searching for median household income, it's within the economy tab, and that's where you'll find it, as well as health insurance. And lastly, the tab here is on education attainment. So just within a couple of clicks, you will find several of the topics or important topics that are available within the ACS. You do have the ability to download any of these by clicking on the download and share button. You should be able to download it using with a CSV file, or you can share it as you deem necessary. And then you do have the option of displaying the margins of error if you wanted to view that. And lastly, I mentioned about the glossary. This is where you will find the definitions of each of the geographic areas covered within this tool. Right, so after going through all of these tools to help you access ACS datasets, we hope you found one that is perfect for your needs. And now back to Ryan to help us close this out.
Okay, thank you, Mac. Now I would like to close out today's webinar by telling you about resources to learn more about the ACS, as well as ways to connect with us. I want to invite you to keep in touch with us. One way is by sharing your ACS data story. This allows data users across the country to share the creative ways they are using ACS data to make a difference in their community. If you have used ACS data for your community, organization, or business, consider submitting your story today. You can also sign up for and manage email updates from us here at the ACS. Our events and updates email will alert you when new material are available, and you'll stay updated on our data releases.
We also want to highlight some of the free support available to you across the country. We have data dissemination specialists, just like me, who can provide personalized, no-cost training. You can request a session and have us walk you through the tools, data sets, and anything else you need. And if you prefer to learn at your own pace, we do have Census Academy, which is a great place to start. All of these resources are designed to help you find and build confidence using census data whenever and however you like to learn.
In closing, let me share information on how to find answers and get support after this webinar concludes. You can visit our website at census.gov/ACS. It's a great resource with information about the survey, data products, tools for data users, and other helpful information. If you have a question about the ACS, do not hesitate to send us an email at acso.users.support@census.gov or call the number on the screen. As Mac just mentioned, Census Academy is our learning hub for data skills. And if you're on social media, connect with us at US Census Bureau using the hashtag ACS data. And one last thing, if you're using ACS estimates, please make sure to source the Census Bureau American Community Survey as to where you receive the data. It helps people know that the information they're using is powered by the ACS. This concludes today's webinar on the ACS data tools. Thank you for spending the last hour with us, and I hope you found it helpful.